All right, welcome back to Terminal Garage. So today we're going to carry on with the 1988 S15 pickup, and I'm going to be starting on the fuel gauge in the instrument cluster here. So let's take it apart. So looking underneath the instrument cluster, we've got two screws here. They're going to remove this part of the dash, and then another two on the other side. Now I know from looking online, this is going to be a bit of a pain. And I know someone's been in here before because there are not one, not two, not three, not four, not five. There's 6 screws. This whole panel here is actually not connected. I think it's just held on by some bolts on the bottom somewhere. But someone's been into this thing before I bought the truck, and they neglected to put any screws back in. So I'm going to have to go buy some screws and get that done up correctly at the same time. But let's see what we can do here. All right, so I got the bezel off. It wasn't too bad. The only problem is the heater controls. They're a bit of a pain. They're held on with these little spring washers. They're like a one-way washer that goes onto these plastic pins right here. And I didn't want to risk breaking those pins trying to get those sort of a one-way washer on. So I cut those washers. I just split them and pulled them off. I'll have to buy new ones. One thing I found with this, whoever was in this before, someone's been in this before, the bolts for the bezel around the instrument cluster were loose, and this is actually broken. There's a threaded boss there and right there. Those are broken off. Only one screw is holding it, connecting it to that screw that's right there, which is too big. I don't know. It's all messed up. I'm going to see if I can fix it, get some plastic welding or something, but it's not looking very hopeful. So, ooh, crow feather. Anyway, I'm going to pull the instrument cluster out next. All right, we're just about there. Just wanted to show you. There's one harness. The one harness actually just, the dashboard just slides right onto the plug. But there is a plug here that's held on with one little screw. I don't know why they would have done that, but that's what they've done. And the speedometer cable is held on with just this little spring clip. You just push this little clip down and it releases the speedometer cable. But I'm just gonna pop this last little screw out and then the instrument cluster will come out. Okay, so I'm gonna take the glass off and then the bezel around the instrument cluster, give it all nice clean. So let's take that apart. Okay, so I got all the screws out, but it doesn't seem to want to come out. You definitely don't want to force this old plastic because it is brittle. It almost feels like the speedometer might be holding it. So maybe I got to take these 2 screws off the back. I didn't really want to have to do that right now, but I guess I'm going to have to. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. The 2 screws holding the speedometer. So looking at this, this is the piece that I want to get off for the fuel gauge. There's 3 screws, but it's the one plate is underneath this, so I actually have to remove the speedometer, and then I can take that off. So you don't have to remove the speedometer, just the 3 screws, and this will come out. It actually slides underneath. But looking at the fuel gauge, it does move freely up and down. I think that bend is supposed to be there, to be honest. I can't see how that would have got bent like that. I decided I've gone this far, I'm going to remove everything. So I took the last couple of screws and just took the whole speedometer out. There's kind of like rust or something in there, so I'm going to give this a clean. I'm going to clean all this up, and then once we find out if that thing is working or not, we'll put it all back together. One thing I wanted to mention, if you're going to tear into an instrument cluster this far, you can see on here, these are all the little bulbs for your indicators for like your turn signals, high beam, shift light, that side as well. You can see how some of the foam has come off of these lenses. You want to be really careful to not disturb that. so that when you put it back together, that's so that the light doesn't leak into the other indicators. All right, we got this sort of cleaned up. I'll have to wipe it down with some cleaner, but I did check the bulbs, and one instrument bulb was working and the rest are not. There's 3 instrument cluster bulbs there, green ones, and then there's one blue one here. I don't know what that does. That was burnt out as well. 3 little indicator bulbs are burned out, so I got to replace some bulbs. All right, so I've used up all my spare bulbs that I had left, but so I went and got some new bulbs. So I'll be replacing all these right now. And then I actually put 12 volts on this gauge, and I could get the gauge to go all the way up and all the way down. So this works, which leads me to believe it might have just been a bad connection, because the way it connects is actually these just slide into these metal, where are we here? These metal clips, they just slide onto here. So I'm wondering if there was a little bit of corrosion on there or something that was impeding the voltage fully. So anyway, I'm gonna put it back together and see if it works. So let's do it. Okay, that's all assembled, ready to put it back in the truck, but it is pitch black outside right now, so it's going to be a tomorrow job, so we'll wait till then. All right, I got the dash back in, and I turned the key on here, and unfortunately the fuel gauge is back reading what it was, so I guess I didn't solve the problem. We did fix a few lights, and I just found out that on my heater controls another bulb was burned out, so I have another one, so I'll just replace that real quick. There we go. Got another bulb working, that's good. So this side of the dash was really easy to put back together. This side, however, is going to be a bit of a challenge because I have to fix this thing. It's for all intents and purposes, it's broken. So I got to try and fix this. So I'm going to move into the shop and see if we can glue this thing back together somehow. Okay, back in the shop here. I'm going to try and show what's wrong with this. If you look here, try to get the camera to focus here. That and that are 2 plastic sort of bosses that this piece screws onto. The problem with these being broken, I'll try to show how this is broken. There we go. You can see this piece goes on here. So what happens is with that piece gone, the height of that is different. This piece here has to be square, and now there's a big gap there because that plastic is broken off. So my plan is to file these flat, both of these pieces flat. There's a hole in the middle still that I can still get a screw to bite into, and then I'll fill the gap with washers and try to get the right height so that that other piece that bolts onto it is flat, or is square, I should say. Bit of a Hail Mary. Hopefully it works. You know, 5-minute epoxy's my friend. We'll see what we can do. All right, you can see I got those filed down nice and flat. So now I'm going to try and build up the right thickness of washers and put some screws in. Okay, so got this fixed. Maybe one of you will have the same issue, and this is what I did to resolve it. So what I did, as you saw, I filed these plastic bosses down, and I just put a nut and a washer that basically took up the same amount of space. Got some longer screws, and it works. It's nice and square. It's solid, better than it was because only one screw was holding on. So this whole thing was a bit floppy, but now it's good and solid. So next thing is going to be a challenge is the little spring washers. Here, I'll get these little spring washers that I cut that go onto here that hold the heater controls. I bought some, but I think they might be too big. So there's the original on the right and the new one on the left. It's not very focused. Anyway, I've checked. It will work, so we can put this thing back together. All right, let's get this hooked up. First thing we'll do is these heater controls. A lot easier to put them back in. They should just snap in. There we go. Glue on the other side. There we go. And then these little retaining clips should just slide on. Beautiful. Now our electrical connectors and your fan controller. There we go. Okay, it's been a few days since I actually finished off with that dash and doing all that other filming, but today we're going to get into this this door panel and find out why the outside door handle is not working. So let's get into that. So looking at this, it would appear that it's actually this whole door panel is only held on with some clips. I don't see any screws other than two for the armrest. There's none in here. The hardest part I think is actually going to be taking this hand crank off. They've got little spring clips in there that are generally a bit of a pain in the butt to get out, but yeah, let's just see if we can pop this off. I'm fully expecting to break a few clips. They're brittle and old, but they're usually readily available, so let's go. All right, as expected, that the door handle was the biggest pain, and it is one of these little clips. Basically, the clip is in the door handle like that, and I got in there with a pick and just pulled it out. So there you go. But now we got the door panel off so we can look inside. Okay, I know what the problem is. See if I can do it here. When you lift this door handle, what's happening is the door handle itself is lifting up and down instead of pushing the actuating rod down. So what I did is I actually closed the door, lifted the handle, and then pushed it down, and it actually works. So I know what the issue is, the handle itself, something's broken. So I'm gonna take these two nuts off and we'll pull the handle off. I got the door handle off. They're actually held on with these little cheap sheet metal nuts. I hate these things, but that's what they use. And it looks like on this side over here, it's broken. It looks like there should be a little piece that comes off here that slides. See if I can get this in there. It goes in there and then they drive this little roll pin in. They drive that roll pin in behind it and that just holds it. Really cheap. Anyway, it is broken. And I do believe you can just go to a local store and get these sort of their aftermarket, but I'm pretty sure they have them. So I'm gonna go see if I can, I might have to order one online or go to a wrecker, but these things are getting pretty hard to come by. So anyway, we're gonna see what we can figure out here. Okay, so I went to our local parts store and last night and they ordered in a part. They overnighted it from another location, but there you go. Nice new door handle. The interesting thing with these door handles is the parts that hold the nuts go onto, they're actually just a bare stud, if you will. And that's why they have those sort of sheet metal, cheap nuts. I guess they carve their own thread on there. So anyway, we're gonna, long story short, let's get this thing installed. All right, I will say, for something as simple as just putting that door handle in, it was actually a bit of a pain in the butt. It's an aftermarket door handle. I don't think it fits as nice. And what I also found is you had to get these nuts really tight. I didn't want to go too tight because I didn't want to break them or strip them, but I had to get them pretty darn tight so that when you lift this handle, it doesn't actually move the bracket. But it seems to be good now. The door works from the outside. The next thing to do is go ahead and throw this door panel back on. All right, that's gonna do it for today's video. I got that door handle replaced, which is great. And I did actually check the wire harness, the plug that goes to the fuel pump and the fuel sending unit, and to see if maybe it was corroded, and it wasn't. It seemed fine. I plugged it back in and out a couple of times. I just checked the fuel gauge and it didn't make a difference. So it's either something in the wire harness or it's the fuel level sending unit on the tank itself. I checked it, I thought it was good, but you know what? The next owner, that's going to be yours to deal with. But that's it for this video. The next video I'm going to do is going to be, I'm going to wax this thing up and we're going to do a price reveal. And then that'll be it. This project is officially done and I'll be putting it up for sale. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. And yeah, thoughts and comments below. Give us a thumbs up and maybe subscribe. The numbers are going up. Really appreciate it, everybody. Thanks a lot and have a nice day.